Virgo, what happens when you need to ask for advice or help from that person that you most have contention with? It can feel humiliating. To even see any kind of similarities between you and them is difficult enough. But to in some way understand suddenly that they are actually right when you were wrong, or that they're actually the person that helps you when you need help, that in some way makes you feel very diminished. It makes you feel vulnerable and kind of stuck. Here's how to get unstuck. There's a realization that ultimately, okay, what I am feeling is a strong and long history between you and said individual. And it's been a harsh one that you have become immediately defensive about. You don't like to talk about it, and you like to live a life where you pretend like it just doesn't exist, because honestly, it's a lot easier for you. Something about this person gets to you to the point where you act outside of your normal self. In fact, you may act at your worst self. Everything in your life was motivated to be better than this person, to be more than this person ever deserved or ever was or ever could be, to show that person and to basically make a big old you in their face. Like, I don't need you. I don't want you. I'm better than you. I have my shit together. Look at all I've accomplished. Look at the things that I do. Look at the things that I can do that are right. Just the fact that they would even try to give you advice pisses you off. You know what's really interesting about this certain situation? It's almost a juxtaposition of everything. It's almost as if now this person needs your help. And in them wanting your help or needing your help, they are not the person that you want them to be. They are not the arrogant piece of crap that you want them to be. They are not the manipulative person that you want them to be. They are actually just somebody who is vulnerable and scared and going through really bad crap. In other words, something that you were once really repulsed by, something or someone that you were once really repulsed by, all of a sudden it flips around and their humanity is exposed. And in seeing their humanity, all of a sudden you see your inhumanity. And you see in so many ways how it was harming your life to feel about them the way that you feel. It was harming your life to feel this level of anger, this level of frustration, this level of bitterness, this level of it was burdening you and bogging you down. There is definitely, I don't know if it's a child that's tethering you to this person or the way that you raise children. There's some sense of just really feeling completely and totally vulnerable and exposed because all of a sudden you've been put in a situation or a position where you have to admit that this person was right, that this person knew something that you didn't know. You have to take their advice, even if they're not in the room. Maybe this was advice that they gave a long time ago. But you know what, Virgo? We all wake up to that day, one day, when we have to realize we are our mothers or our fathers. We are those people who we rebelled against. We're now in the positions that we judged them for. And ultimately, it is in releasing judgment and finding compassion for them. And finding ourselves in the same position that they were faced with, that we can start to find some compassion for them. There is a great freedom in this reading, because what it does is, what this run-in does is it sort of humbles you out of your own cage. Because it certainly wasn't that this person didn't deserve your distrust. I think in every way, shape, or form, they did. But ultimately, the more important part was, what was it doing to you? How was it getting in your way? There's such beautiful potential here. This beautiful, unexpected offer of love. This beautiful, unexpected help that comes from a place that you didn't think that it would ever come from. Something dark and something mysterious, or something like that you might have overlooked in some capacity. You wouldn't have even seen it was there. But here it comes, help. Because there's love here. There's non-judgment here. There's understanding we can be different and we can have our differences. But ultimately, even when I'm mad at you, or I'm frustrated at you, or I'm upset with you, I can still completely and totally love you. Right? There's an opening here for a whole new relationship with this one person that you had the worst relationship with. A fresh start, a start over. It's almost like realizing that the past was hurting you more than it was hurting them. And that they may never, ever, ever be aware of their actions or behaviors, but your hyper awareness of their actions and behaviors has turned you into somebody that is obsessed and possessed by an energy that is harming you. And in order to make your life what you want it to be, you have to basically let them go. Especially if they can trigger you in these little ways. This is talk to somebody that you trust. Be able to open up and tell them maybe a secret that you didn't want to really tell anybody or reveal. This is you revealing a secret that you didn't want to reveal, that you thought you'd take to the grave. After all these years of basically busting your ass and literally twisting yourself sideways just to perform or do things that seem better than them, that go beyond them. Because deep down inside, because that's what the moon card represents, your psyche, those things that you truly wish, that you truly desire, you want to stand out. or they want to stand out. They want to stand out. Like recognizing and realizing that this is somebody who always has to be better than you. This is somebody who, no matter what, they're always in fucking competition with you. And all of a sudden you look in the mirror and you realize, fuck, I'm doing the same goddamn thing. I am letting them suck me in. And the only way that you can free yourself is by learning to love and accept the parts of yourself that remind you of them. And in doing so, it's almost like in some ways you're learning to love them. Even if you hate them, you're learning to love them. Why? Because those parts of you, this is some sort of parent or a relationship with somebody that you've had for a very long time, probably since childhood. You're starting to see the same patterns emerge, and you don't want to be the same thing to your children that your parent was to you. You don't want to be that heartache. You don't want to be that competitor. You want to be the supportive. You want to be the person who helps them cultivate the best of themselves, not brings out the worst of themselves. This is you busting your ass and struggling your hardest to avoid this sick cycle, this family karma. And all of a sudden, after all this time, it's finally coming together. After all this time, you're finally realizing what needs to be done, what needs to happen. I just feel like today you woke up and you realized, holy fuck, I am my parents. You know? There's some beautiful energy here, though. Let me go on another note and say there's a beautiful energy of a long-term commitment that you've been able to pull off. And there's wonderful energy of love coming to you from an unexpected place. And you sticking things out heroically, like you just refuse to give up or say die to this situation. Reach out. Reach out for help. Reach out and ask somebody. It's not the worst thing in the world that you could do. The thing about it is you just feel so vulnerable. You just feel so hyper exposed right now. But there is something that's keeping you going. And it's not just faith, it's a purpose. It's a purpose that's bigger than you. Let your head and mind reach to the stars, yet keep your feet grounded on the earth. Listen to the ancient wisdom in your soul. The ancestors speak through you. You know much, Moose. And those antennae are basically, they're not antennae. Those antlers act as antenna up into the ether. So I almost feel like in some ways you are connecting or trying to like skip generations to try to connect to and understand somebody that you do want to be like, you know, so that you have that example. Because ultimately, Virgo, you feel torn apart. You feel really put upon. You feel like you're climbing a mountain that's never going to stop, like an insurmountable rock face. You just feel like you're in some ways treading water. You suddenly you just realize, holy shit, it's like the relationship that I'm in reminds me of theirs. I'm bored with this relationship that I'm in. I'm not getting, it's like everything is backfiring. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. But it's actually not. You know, the cards are calling you to do something that you absolutely don't want to do. And that is confront them. You have to confront them. And I know for a fact that you're going to have the strength to do it. And the one thing that's going to get you through is that feeling of freedom on the other side. Because the last thing you want is to be stuck, constantly being influenced by their energy. Let's go into the spirit guide reading. I almost feel like you tried to not ask anybody for help because you didn't want to need help. You didn't want to feel vulnerable, especially not with this person around. You wanted to seem like you were unflappable. But it's time to collaborate. It's time to work with, it's time to need help. It's time to ask somebody for help. This is coming together with somebody. This is also extremely, there's another nuance to this reading, and that is extremely romantic. A cup of love being offered to you, or finding love in a place that you struggled with, insisting, like not accepting failure, continuing on a relationship, holding on to it, maybe because you had children together and that was your anchor and that's what kept the two of you together. But ultimately there's this sense of like feeling like you're never going to live up or be good enough. This feeling of being vulnerable, but at the same time, you're refusing to give up. You know, you feel like a loser. You feel the struggle. You feel the pain, but you also refuse to give up because you don't want to be a failure the way that you saw a failure happen in another situation that has impacted you. But it's almost like now you're taxed with having to ask for assistance or ask for advice or confront the very person that you wish you never even knew. The abundant universe will provide. So you have resources, or you might be reaching out to somebody because you know that you need to partner with them to combine resources. This could be about allowing yourself to be in a partnership, allowing yourself to be vulnerable and need somebody else. And the reason why you didn't ever want to need somebody else was because you always felt like in some ways that made you weak, and that made you not better than them, and that made you like just go down that fucking spiral. But this is a sense of no, combining resources. Having resources, more resources than you started out with, because now you're putting two and two together. This could also be marriage. Something to do with your marriage and your current love, and all of a sudden, like almost like putting an energy on your relationship and your family that it doesn't deserve, that is misplaced, because of something that you had unresolved from your past. Hummingbird, be here now. Look at this moment, this present moment. There is such great beauty in your partnership and in the present moment in your life. That's all you should be focusing on right now. You should not be sucked into somebody else's continuous, perpetual drama. Coyote spirit, trust in divine detours. You're going to have to improvise here. This isn't the most comfortable space for you. But ultimately, there's a change here, a major change. You're not going to see this coming. Because especially if this is a parent that you're in a relationship with, they're going to offer you something quite abundant and something quite beautiful. And the question is, will you be able to accept it with love? Or will you be suspicious of it? It's not a judgment on you. What I'm saying, it's a revelation for you. It's a holy shit, I'm not as over this as I thought I was. I'm still fighting this fight. And how long am I going to continue this burden? How much longer? Well, Virgo, it's up to you. You decide. Think on your feet. This is both Sagittarius. All of this is coming in Sagittarius season. You're going to have to face this relatively soon. And you're going to have to basically get through it. It's almost like a family discussion or a family argument that comes up out of the blue, and you don't want to discuss it. You always try to avoid it, but in the place where you least expected it, it's going to come up, and it's just going to like vomit in your face. It's a blessing in disguise, because ultimately it's like, in some ways, hopefully the vomit can come out of you too. There's a sick here that needs to be addressed. And once it's addressed, it's actually going to make you feel better. Life is a mystery. Yep, you're not going to see this coming. But this is also a statement of the future, in that you don't know. This is a power statement, because you don't know where you're going to go. You don't know where you're headed. And I think that that's really where you're most scared, is relinquishing control and improvising instead of planning. But ultimately, do you want to be micromanaged the way that you were micromanaged? Do you want to experience that? Is that the kind of climate that you want to continue to live in? Because ultimately, that's what you've actually been doing with yourself, to yourself, in order to be better than this person. And I think that that's the aha moment that you finally get. Now is a good time. Take a leap of faith in the unknown territories of stuff that you would never do or never try. But ultimately, it's your time to do it, and it's your time to try it. Look at this. Unconditional love and a new beginning. And that's crazy. Collaboration. I heard my dog, but I didn't know where she was. There's more of a story here. I want to continue with tarot, and I'm going to. So please do hop over to the extended. The link is below. But first, hang out for the angel messages, because they always have that beautiful voice. Let's get into shuffling them. Virgo. If you have not, please do subscribe to the channel. Like this video and share it on other platforms if you are so inclined. Also, please ring that bell and get all the notifications of all the content I upload here. I upload at least 12 times a week. And 1 week, every Friday, I upload Virgo specific content. So hopefully you'll look forward to that. You can also join me on my dailies. I do a daily tarot card reading on general energies, and have on a live chat over on Instagram. My handle there is born_without_boundaries. So please do come on over. Welcome over. And if you want your hands on the extended a day earlier than everybody else gets them, then subscribe directly over to Vimeo. Subscribe directly over on Vimeo, and you'll get access to that sooner than if you wait for the link here. I love you guys, and thank you for all the help to make the channel grow and make it get better. I really appreciate it. Sacred Source is the first message that we receive from the angels. We, your angels, are here to remind you of your magnificence. You are literally an angel in the making, a being of eternal love and light, forever one with God, Goddess, and all creation. See, you have to learn to forgive yourself. In other words, cut yourself some slack and stop insisting on letting them define your life by them wrapping you up in this frenzy of, I have to be better than them. You have to let them go. You have to get them to the point where you don't even think about them. And if you can't say honestly that I haven't thought about them today, then there's still a problem. And there's still healing that has to be done. But in order to let that healing be done, you have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself for not being your version of perfect, because that's just not attainable. Fear. I, Archangel Michael, am here to help you through the present time. I love you. I protect you and keep you safe. Trust that all is well. Accept my love and allow it to dissolve your fear. Acknowledged. Divine intervention. You may feel frustrated because something stalls or comes to a standstill. Progress seems painfully slow. Yet this is a blessing. It is divine intervention at work. When the timing is in perfect harmony, all will come to fruition. I think you really were up against a clock that you set for yourself, and you thought, I need to attain this by this certain point in my life. And if you didn't, you feel like you came up flat, or that somehow you weren't living up to your standards. But those standards were set based on abuse or hurt or harm or neglect. And in realizing that, maybe now you'll be nicer to yourself. Sacred space. We, your guardian angels, surround you with emerald, gold, and rose pink light. Surrender your concerns, Virgo, and worries, and enter this sacred space of love and healing. This is the unconditional love part that's going to bring you back into balance. It's going to liberate you from all those crazy expectations that you were programmed with, and now just allow you to be you. Let's go to tarot. Get the full scoop and the down and dirty. The link is below. I'll see you guys over there.